helicopter missions. It's incredibly dangerous to be up when you're using only your instruments to fly, and there are Transport Canada regulations that do prohibit folks from flying in those conditions. So as much as we want to get aviation back out onto those flyers, the safety of our staff is obviously our first priority. So we're hopeful that this afternoon we'll be able to re-engage on some of those fires with aviation resources.
I know it's still early, but have we been able to pinpoint the cause of these two particular fires, the one in West Kelowna and Shuswap?
Let me see if we've got information on either of those. For folks who are listening, if they do go to our website, we'll often have suspected cause information right on every wildfire's information page, which you can access through the map or through our list. So I can tell you that for the Bush Creek East fire, the suspected cause is lightning. And
you know what? That's okay. We'll get.
Fire is under investigation.
Right. Okay, Sarah, sorry to cut you off. We've got to get to a break, but thank you so much for taking the time with us. Sarah Budd is with the BC Wildfire Service. Coming up, a Canadian study on COVID shows that older people who get infected risk being reinfected.
Good afternoon, it's 12:30. I'm Jason Mayoff with a CTV News update. Here's what's making news right now. The Quebec government says it's planning to require 30-kilometer-an-hour speed limits in all school zones. That's the case in many places, especially in Montreal, but it's not mandatory. The government's also talking about more photo radar in school zones. The man accused of crashing a city bus into a daycare in Laval in February, killing 2 children and injuring 6 others, was back in court today. Pierre-Ny Saint-Amand is still in a psychiatric ward. His case was put off until next month, with both sides still exchanging evidence. And the Dominican Republic is preparing to shut down much of the country as Tropical Storm Franklin threatens to unleash landslides and heavy floods. The storm is about 420 kilometers south of the Caribbean nation, with maximum sustained winds of 85 kilometers an hour. With the latest from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, here's Lauren Glazer.
It's a slower drive on the westbound side of the 20 now between Ongrenio and the Ville-St. Pierre interchange. Northbound, the Carry also has delays. Queen Mary up to the top. For southbound, the Carry volume now from the top to Van Horn. Slowdowns as well. Westbound Met P9 to Saint Laurent again between Lacadie and DeCarry. For the eastbound side of the Met, you are losing time before DeCarry through to Saint Laurent. Southbound 25 about a half an hour between Sherbrooke and the tunnel. Live fully with the 2024 Kia Seltos, the SUV that combines adventure with safety. Secure yours at your local dealer. Visit kia.ca for details. Traffic and transit every 15 minutes on CJAD 800. Your next report at 12:45.
Your Dormevu Weather Center forecast: mainly sunny today, the high 25, partly cloudy tonight, the low 14, and mainly sunny tomorrow, the high 26. It's 21 downtown. Your next CTV News update is at 1 o'clock.
In a complicated world.
Provincially, federally, globally.
Tom Mulcair is your voice of reason. Twice a day on CJAD 800.
Brought to you by Guaranteed Industries. Keep your cool with an air conditioning maintenance visit from Guaranteed Industries, your air conditioning specialist since 1957. 514-342-3400.
Tom Mulcair.
7:35 with Andrew and 5:05 with Aaron and Natasha.
On News Talk Radio.
CJAD 800.
GCP Research is looking for candidates to participate in a study on chronic cough. Must be 18 years or over and have been coughing daily for over a year. Participants will be compensated for travel and expenses. For details, please call GCP Research 514-800-2130.
Got PC Optimum points? Claire does, and shops the bonus redemption event at Pharmaprix to get more free stuff for her points.
If I redeem 50,000 points, I'll get $65 off. That's an extra $15 in value. I see a treat in my future.
Awesome, Claire. The bonus redemption event runs August 18th to 23rd, in-store and online. Exclusive to Pharmaprix. It's your chance to get more free stuff for your points. And free feels good. Restrictions apply.
Switch your business to the best plans at Bureau en Gros. Plus, enjoy the latest smartphones and get unbeatable savings on mobile plans. And that's not all. As a Bureau en Gros preferred member, save up to 10% and get a credit of up to $240 per line over 24 months. Offer available with new small business activations on eligible 2-year Bell Smart Pay plans. Valid for primary and additional lines. Don't wait. Save now. Speak to our wireless specialists for more details. Let's find out how Bureau en Gros can be your trusted partner for all your business needs.
Hey, Nissan. I hear I'm going on a mission.
That's right, Karine, to see how thrilling the Rogue is.
Oh.
Before we go, the Rogue is equipped with intelligent all-wheel drive.
Great. Can we get started?
Soon. It also has 5 drive modes for every type of road.
Now my adrenaline's rushing.
And you can lease the Nissan Rogue SV starting at $470 a month for 64 months. And it's in stock now, so hurry.
Mission accomplished. And we never even left.
Until August 31st, $2,585 down. Value of $39,761. On approved credit conditions apply. Details at Nissan.
Being a sleep expert at Dormez-vous, I've met a lot of couples who can agree on everything, except what they want from a mattress. Plush or firm, cooling or cozy. You don't need to choose. We can match you to a mattress and sleep essentials that have what you both need to get a great night's rest. Because at Dormez-vous, we solve sleep.
Find a mattress with the right mix of comfort and support. Get a queen mattress for only $479 until Sunday at the Mix and Match event. On now at Dormez-vous.
The nation is getting into CTV's The Amazing Race Canada. From roadblocks and U-turns to big challenges, a new adventure awaits on Canada's #1 summer series. The Amazing Race Canada, tonight at 9 on CTV.
Welcome back to the Vashi Capello Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. I'm Robin Gill, sitting in for Vashi. A new study from McMaster University has found that seniors who were infected during the first wave of Omicron are 20 times more likely to get reinfected. It shows that these variants are very complex and that scientists still don't quite understand how clever they are. So what does it mean for Canada's vaccine strategy? We're joined now by Dr. Dawn Bowdish. She's a professor at McMaster and a Canada Research Chair in Aging and Immunity. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Bowdish.
Thanks so much for having me, Robin.
Can you tell us what the most significant findings and the most significant takeaway is from this particular study?
Yeah, so my colleague Andrew Koss and I, we run Canada's largest study of COVID vaccinations and infections in older adults, those living in retirement homes and long-term care. So throughout the course of the pandemic, we take blood from people and we understand their infection history. And every time there's a wave, we look and see what led to people being protected or what led to them being susceptible. And we found something really, really strange during the second Omicron wave, which was characterized by a variant called BA.5. We found that the biggest risk factor by far for getting infected with BA.5 was having just gotten over an infection with BA.1-2. And so what this tells us is that we cannot rely on previous infections to protect us from the next infection, because sometimes it works in the opposite direction, where that infection makes you more, not less, susceptible. Our entire vaccine strategy is based on the assumption that once you get infected, you get a period of protection and don't need to be vaccinated. But in this case, at least for older adults, this wasn't true. And in fact, they would have benefited from an vaccination to prevent them from getting that BA.5 infection.
So does that mean that they now need to be vaccinated immediately instead of waiting that 6-month period?
One of the things that we have found is that period of protection as you get older is very, very short from your previous infection, very, very short. And for some variants, for most people, there's no real protection. Vaccines protect, but the infection doesn't help. And that's a little bit different than in younger adults and kids, where it looks like if you've got a nice vaccine to give your immune system a base to work off of and you do get an infection, you get a little bit longer protection from your next infection. But with older adults, really, that protection is very, very minimal. So I would say that for older adults, it really doesn't make sense to wait 6 months after an infection because they may not be protected.
This is so worrisome, though, because these are the most vulnerable of our society.
Yeah, it's really, really worrisome. And there's a few parts of this that I find particularly hard to swallow. I think Traditionally, older adults, especially people living in retirement communities and long-term care, just haven't been studied. And so we don't really know so much about their immune system. And during the entire Omicron wave, where a lot of the public was getting the message that this is more mild and it's not as serious and it's not going to be a problem, we actually saw higher hospitalizations during the Omicron wave than we ever did during the first pre-Omicron waves in older adults. And the other thing that's so worrisome about it is we know that having infections and multiple infections can lead to long-term health issues. And so an older adult who gets really sick with COVID, the older you are, the sicker you are, the less chance there is that you'll return back to your level of health and ability that you had prior to that infection. So we really need to do targeted studies and focus on our most vulnerable instead of ignoring them.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Dr. Dawn Bowdish. She's a professor at McMaster. A new study from McMaster University has found that seniors who were infected during the first wave of Omicron are 20 times more likely to get reinfected. Dr. Bowdish, now we have another variant. Is this going to compound the problem for our seniors?
Yes, so it's a really great question. Currently in Canada right now, we have a couple variants circulating. One's in this BA family that may have this property. We have the XBB family. We don't really know what they're capable of. We have an EG variant, which we thought was going to be the new bad guy. And across the world, there's a new variant called BA.2 that is looking really problematic. So the other major take-home message from our study is we have made assumptions about which variants are going to be problematic based on looking in people's blood and saying how sticky are the antibodies in that blood from either a vaccination or a previous infection. If they stick to the new variant, we assume that it will be protected. And if they don't stick, then we assume that those antibodies aren't going to be good enough and the variant's going to be problematic. And although this is theoretically a good idea, in practice, many of the variants who we predicted were going to be terrible weren't that bad in older adults. And some of the ones we thought we'd be protected from were actually really problematic, like the BA5 in our study. So the take-home message here is that these variants have so many mutations in other genes that are associated with disrupting our immune system or evading our host defenses or getting in and infecting us. And it's entirely possible that these new emerging variants may have similarities to the variants that we studied that were so problematic. And we need to take a broader approach to understanding how these affect our immune systems.
This variant is being seen around the world. In fact, started showing its face, so to speak, in July. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about, we were expecting a fall wave. It seems like this wave has arrived earlier. Is it speedier for some reason?
This is a really great question that I'm glad you brought up. We have been trying to, since the beginning of this pandemic, shoehorn this virus into the rules of other respiratory viruses. We've been saying, we're going to need, it's going to hit a seasonal pattern. But in fact, last summer, the wave also started in August, and we've seen this virus around the world causes waves whenever it wants to, not by sort of our traditional seasonal patterns. We've also tried to shoehorn it into requiring one vaccine a year. But when you have multiple waves per year, you likely need multiple vaccines. And just to give you some context, even for influenza, which we've been doing for decades, when you get your flu shot, you get about 60% protection from symptomatic infection, same as the COVID vaccines, and that decreases by 10% every month. So by 6 months, you're not really very protected anymore. And that's fine for influenza because flu season is 6 months long. So you get your flu shot at the beginning, you're protected all the way through. But it's problematic when you have a virus like SARS-CoV-2 that seems to cause multiple waves in a year. That leaves people unprotected for at least half a year. So this is why we have to tailor our vaccination strategies at the virus's schedule, not our schedule, because those two clearly don't match.
But these vaccines aren't available until the fall. So do we need to speed it up? And basically, should the message be don't delay getting your vaccine?
Yeah, so I think the Health Canada approved vaccine, which is sort of like the parent of the variants that are circulating, is predicted to be a really good match. And like you said, the problem is it's not in the pharmacies yet. So we're starting a wave. And our own research has shown that if you vaccinate people right at the beginning of the way, that's when you get the most bang for your buck, because you're protecting people right when they're most likely to be infected. The concern is that if it takes us weeks or a month to get these vaccines into pharmacies, we'll be either in the middle of this wave or, God forbid, even at the end. So we really need to think about, like I said, planning our vaccination schedule based on the virus's schedule and not because we think it will come in October or November like influenza.
This is a little bit worrisome because, a lot of people have COVID fatigue.
Yes, they do. They do. And in Canada, we've never been able to get to our targets for influenza vaccination. We've set a target that 80% of people should be vaccinated. We've never once hit that. Now, you combine that with confusion. A lot of people seem to think there's a magic number of vaccines and you're done for COVID. I have 4 and I'm done. I've probably had 20 flu shots in my life, and I hope to have 60 more. And it's going to be the same with COVID. There's no magic number when you're done. We have to start thinking about the time since our last shot. And ideally, you don't encounter this virus when you're more than 6 months out from that last shot, because that's when you start to be at higher risk of having complications.
Okay, Dr. Dawn Bowdish is professor at McMaster University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, would you consider banning Facebook and Instagram? You're listening to The Vashi Capello Show. Stay with us.
Now, an update from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center.
We're seeing slowdowns on the westbound side of the 20 now between Ongrenio and Norman. Also, volume for the eastbound side of the 20 starts inside the Ville St. Pierre interchange running through to Turcotte. Northbound, the Carrie delays as well. Sherbrooke to the top. Southbound, the Carrie volume now from the top to Queen Mary. Also, some volume southbound 15 through Nuns Island. On the westbound side of the Met, that has delays as well between P9 and the DeCarry interchange. The GMC CR1500 Graphite 6-function Multi-Pro tailgate is as handy as a Swiss Army knife. Come try it out at your GMC dealer. Let us know what you see on the roads. Call in your tips to Star 800. Your next report at 1 o'clock.
Metropolitan Rustproofing, reminding you it's your last chance to take advantage of their $20 summer special off a complete rustproofing treatment. Metropolitan Rustproofing, a smart investment that really pays.
Montreal's home for live sports and sports talk. TSN 690.
Sanusi Ibrahim drills it to the near post. He's going to make it to the end zone. Touchdown, Montreal.
When you need to know. When you need to get it off your chest.
I cannot, with a straight face or of sound mind, tell you that a $2 billion investment into this Olympic Stadium is worthwhile.
Montreal's Major League Sports Talk lives on TSN 690.
Looking to create the exterior of your dreams? Then look no further than Pépinière Pierrefonds. For over 59 years, Pépinière Pierrefonds and their team has offered a wide selection of quality products that will surely catch your eye. Like Teco Block, North America's leading manufacturer of paving stones. From pavers and patio slabs to retaining walls and fire pits, they have it all. Embrace your creativity with Teco Block. Available at Pépinière Pierrefonds in Pierrefonds and Saint-Laurent. PépinièrePierrefonds.com.
Scene Plus is now at IGA.
Scene Plus? You mean like at the movies?
Now it's also for groceries.
Oh, wow. Am I going to see any superstars?
You'll see a bunch of star products.
What a plot twist.
Until August 23rd, get Scene Plus points and member pricing on must-haves for back to school. Like 410 grams of Barilla pasta for the member price of $1.11. Also get 500 bonus points when you spend $100 or more upon presentation of the coupon in the flyer. Scene Plus, now at IGA. Details at participating stores.
If you get Canadian news from Facebook, Instagram, and Google, time is running out. Some of these U.S. platforms have started blocking links that provide access to news content from Canadian news organizations. And soon, posting and sharing will be blocked too. To continue getting breaking, local, and international news stories, visit ctvnews.ca and download the app.
Are you troubled by your use of alcohol, drugs, or medication? Drugs Help and Referral provides listening and information. It is confidential, free, and available 24/7. Call or chat via drughelp.quebec.
There's still plenty of summertime left, 50% in fact, and Gilbert & Daughter has plenty of spring and summer fashions, all at an additional 50% off. Last minute vacation, Gilbert & Daughter. Night out with the girls, Gilbert & Daughter. Garden party, Gilbert & Daughter, where women's high-end fashions are always 30 to 70% off. But this week, you save another 50% on top of that. You deserve something gorgeous, and you deserve it at 50% off. From Gilbert & Daughter, open Monday to Saturday at 49 Doneganny in Point Claire.
Montrealers' favorite fine furniture store is Mobile Art Decor. For over 30 years, Mobile Art has been the best source of exceptional, top-quality luxury furniture, custom upholstery, and accessories for lighting and design that will inspire and motivate you. Imported from Europe and around the world for every room and every taste. For a truly unique experience, professional interior design advice, and great service, visit Mobile Art, 8260 Devonshire, west of Décarie. mobileart.ca.
MRG Live presents Brazilian bossa nova and samba superstar Bebel Gilberto live at Rialto Theater on September 7th. The four-time Grammy nominee releases her most heartfelt and personal album yet on August 25th, entitled João. With her new project, she devotes herself fully to the music popularized by her father, the unforgettable João Gilberto. Don't miss an evening with Bebel Gilberto live at Rialto Theater on September 7th. Tickets on sale now at admitone.com.
Your sister and cousin are both moving and need a hand. Classic. Your workmate is sick, so you have to drag the excavator back. Classic. Your buddy rented a huge trailer for the camping trip. Classic. What you need for any big job is a classic. A Ram 1500 Classic. Ram Power Days are on. Get 50% off MSRP on a 2023 Ram 1500 Classic for up to $10,300 in discounts. See your Ram dealer for details.
Welcome back to the Vashi Capello Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Hi, everyone. It's Robin Gill sitting in for Vashi, who's in Charlottetown covering the Prime Minister and his cabinet retreat. If you are a Facebook or Instagram user, you're probably aware that you can't get any Canadian news because Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Meta, and Instagram that is, are blocking Canadian articles. It is Meta's response to Canadian legislation known as the Online News Act, which requires tech giants like Meta and Google to make deals with news publishers and organizations and compensate them for their work when they are linked or repurposed on these platforms. It is always crucial for information to be shared, but especially now with the urgency of the fires in BC. And BC Premier David Eby is pushing back on Meta's continued ban on news during this emergency.
It feels a bit like they're holding British Columbians for ransom to make a point with Ottawa. And I just can't express how unacceptable that is when we see local companies bending over backwards to support local residents. I again urge them to reconsider that ban.
And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is reiterating that stance, saying that Meta's decision to block news content is unacceptable.
We're simply saying that in a democracy, quality local journalism matters, and it matters now more than ever before when people are worried about their homes, worried about communities, worried about the worst summer for extreme weather events we've had in a long, long time. Facebook is putting corporate profits ahead of our democracy and our well-being, and that's why Canada is not alone in standing up.
Now, a group called Friends of Canadian Broadcasting are asking Canadians to boycott Facebook and Instagram. Joining us now is Sarah Andrews with Friends of Canadian Broadcasting. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about what you're asking for in your boycott and what you hope to accomplish.
Absolutely. So we're asking Canadians to join us Wednesday and Thursday, so tomorrow and Thursday this week, and just simply going dark on Facebook and Instagram. That means not going on the apps, not going on the platforms for 48 hours. And what we're hoping is that that will send a message that Canadians won't be pushed around. As everyone knows, Meta monetizes our eyeballs when we're on the platforms. When we click, everything that we interact with tweaks their algorithms, and that's how they start to make advertising dollars. So by being away from the platform for 48 hours, we're hoping that that will send Meta a message that Canadians find this unacceptable and that they need to change the course.
But your timing for this boycott may not be great timing because people in BC may need these sites to share information with their families, etc.
I completely understand. And I think this, what is happening with the news block and the news ban in BC is highlighting the importance of how much we rely on these social media platforms for news, and the fact that it's so unacceptable that Meta is blocking this content at this time and to all Canadians.
Doesn't that make you so angry, though, that this is such a crucial time for sharing information?
I think that, the Premier and the Prime Minister probably expressed the frustration that so many Canadians are feeling that, they're going on their social media platforms as they usually would, and they're not seeing the news that they're used to. I think everyone is feeling extremely frustrated that Meta has chosen to react this way instead of working with the government. They're just blocking content instead.
Meta's spokesperson suggested that people actually go to these government sites to get information. Have you ever tried looking at some of these government sites? They're not that easy to navigate.
Exactly. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that you try and navigate, you try and, you have to click on a number of different places to find the information that you need. Whereas people being able to share articles about up-to-date information, what's happening, and also for officials to be able to communicate those messages across to people through, the media is so vital. And it's really it's awful that it's being blocked at this point.
Is it hard to believe that it's 2023 and here we are in Canada facing news being blocked?
I think, honestly, me personally, when I heard, Meta has been threatening this for a while, I didn't think they would follow through with it, and they actually did. I just always felt like they were calling the bluff. They're actually following through with it. We saw them do this in Australia as well. But I think what's important for Canadians to remember is Canada's not alone in this fight against big tech. There's other jurisdictions that are bringing forward legislation. California has a similar piece of legislation that they adopted very recently. The U.S. is considering a legislation trying to move it forward. In fact, Senator Amy Klobuchar actually encouraged Canada not to back down in front of Meta. So the world is